The Central Bank of Nigeria has denied claims that it plans to redenominate the country's currency, the Naira, with effect from January 2024. The reaction of the Apex Bank comes following a claim suggesting it plans to redenominate the country's legal tender. The CBN has refuted the claim, noting that it has no plan to restructure and redenominate the Naira. The bank noted that the purported text message making the claim was a modification of a text by a previous CBN governor in 2007, which was made to appear recent. The CBN further noted that any reform on the agenda will conform to the provisions of the CBN Act of 2007. The Apex Bank advised the public to disregard such publications as they are meant to cause unnecessary panic. Now, to discuss this further, I'm joined by Oladipo Ajayi. He's the head fixed income and FX, Chapel Hill Denim Securities. Oladipo, it's good to see you on this side of News Central today.
Nice seeing you too.
All right, so when we look at this in terms of the potential impact of the redenomination of the Naira at a time such as this, what would that impact be on the Nigerian economy as well as the citizens?
Well, if we look at it critically, redenominating a currency does not necessarily mean that you are changing the intrinsic value of that currency. What it simply means is that you are trying to actually redenominate the currency. And based on what we're currently doing on the subject matter that we are discussing, there's nothing extraordinary about it. And if you take a clue from what has happened in the time past, take, for example, Zimbabwe. In 2008, Zimbabwe removed 10 zeros from their currency. And at the end of the day, there's not much impact that we saw. At the end of the day, the Zimbabwe government ended up changing fully from Zimbabwe dollars to the usage of American dollars and South African rand in their economy. And also, same thing happened in Turkey in 2005. We saw it in Ghana in 2007. And also, just down the line, just about 2 years ago also, Venezuela also told that line. And if you look at all the current countries that I've mentioned, I think it's only Ghana that we can say, okay, maybe one day, one way or the other, they've been able to actually pull through. And it simply means that you cannot redenominate a currency in isolation of all that fundamental issue. Redenominating a currency will solve some issue. One thing it will do is that it will restate confidence in your currency. It will make transaction easy. But what we also need to know is that it will not solve the inflationary pressure that we are currently going through.
So in terms of how such news and information quickly spread, do you think the Central Bank of Nigeria has a public perception problem? Do they have a credibility problem, a transparency issue, particularly from the Nigerian public, which makes it seemingly quite easy for such claims to spread? And then we get into this situation of denials and back and forth and telling the public not to panic. There's no such moves. Does our central bank have a credibility and transparency issue?
I think what's currently happening is that I guess a lot of people are trying to preempt the Central Bank of Nigeria. In a time such as this, when you are going through a lot of economic challenges, we tend to see people actually preempt what will be the next line of action. And truly, if you check the document that was released in 2007, when you compare it to exactly what was actually being circulated, you will know that it's exactly the same document. And the Central Bank could be true to their word that they are not looking at actually redenominating Naira as we speak, because it will solve little or no issue as we currently speak. Currently, inflation is there, currency, there's lack of liquidity in the market. And when you redenominate a currency, you don't change the intrinsic value of the currency. What you only do is that you actually reduce the decimal places of the currency. So what it simply means is that if you are earning 100,000, it simply means that you earn 1,000, and your 1,000 naira will only be able to buy what your 100,000 naira usually will buy. So nothing has changed. It's not that the value of your currency has changed. It's just that you are reducing the denomination of the currency. And sometimes some countries then tend to actually follow this route, so as to actually reduce the cost of producing currencies. And most times when you want to move to the usage of coin, as a form of, or you want to actually direct the country or the citizens of the country to actually, or encourage them to actually utilize currencies, you tend to actually denominate like this. But when you look at it overall, it's not something that will create that extraordinary impact based on what has happened in the past.
Okay, so two very quick questions, Oladipo, before I let you go. When we talk about this public perception and, of course, credibility issue, in your opinion, what steps do you think the Central Bank of Nigeria can take to reinforce trust and confidence, particularly in the Naira and its own oversight and responsibility as well? And then you mentioned Zimbabwe. There have been one or two places where I've heard the terms dollarization in recent times with Nigeria's economy. Do you agree that we might be moving towards a dollarization of the Nigerian economy given the FX challenges that the country is experiencing?
First, let me start from the last question. I don't think we are getting closer to that. As we speak currently, the current country, the government's currently actually discouraging the use of dollars to actually transact in a country such as ours, and that is actually the right step to actually take in such a time where there's dearth of dollar liquidity in the system. The government does not mind using it as a metric, but not necessarily a form of payment in our environment. So I don't think we are getting close to a level where we ended up using dollar as a form of currency to actually transact in the country. And back to the first question of actually reinforcing confidence in the Naira. I think one or two things that the government is currently doing is actually a pointer to the fact that they are also concerned with what is currently happening to Naira. Recently, we saw the news about trying to actually securitize a dividend, cash flow dividend from NLNG. And what that would mean to us is that we'll likely see liquidity coming in very soon. The value in question is about $7 billion. And also the much awaited Afrexim 3 billion is still being awaited. And there are information that we'll likely get that very soon. And also we have funds we are expecting from AFDB and also World Bank as well. When you look at all these expected cash flow, the focus is to use that to actually make to actually sort outstanding obligation that's currently sitting on the book of the central bank, and also help to actually restate confidence in the market. And just yesterday, the central bank also floated OMO bills worth about 400 billion. And what they did was that the 365-day bill closed at effective yield of about 21.2%. What that meant is that is another way to actually lure foreign investors into the market, because when a short-dated instrument is already giving you return of north of about 21%, it means that Nigeria is looking like more like a destination now.
Okay.
So what we just need to do is to actually resolve the backlog that is currently on ground, and also increase return mostly on short-dated instrument. And with that, I think we'll start seeing influx of funds into our market. And with that, we can get to see our currency stabilize very soon.
All right, Oladipo, we'll have to end the conversation there. Oladipo Ajayi, Head Fixed Income and FX, Chapel Hill Denham Securities. Thank you for joining me on the news. I'm sure I'll see you soon on Business Edge.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah.